Yeah, we are very, very, very excited. Have a look. See have a look up here. Yeah, it's ours now. Yeah, hostile takeover. Okay, see ya. Yes, we do know enough to get out of the rain. That's our brand new office there. Check it out. That's pretty cool, eh? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 17 of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry. That would be me. Behind our lovely camera here coming down St. Paul Street is Kevin Jack of WeeStreem, our creator of the program. And we're going to be hearing more from him in a little while. We have a brand new sponsor this week. Very excited about Enwick coming on board. We'll tell you a bit about them in just a few minutes. We're going into Fiddler's Poorhouse quickly to get out of the rain, and come on in and join us. Here we go. Okay, we finally got you dry. That's good. Well, it's not raining that hard. Just a little April shower to bring May flowers and all that stuff. So we do have quite an exciting show for you today. Well, I guess you'll be the judge whether it's exciting or not. Interesting for us, and that is for sure. Here we are in the nice and dry and lovely Fiddler's Poorhouse. And we'll come back and tell you what's going on with the program in just a sec. All right, welcome in, as I mentioned, to Season 2 and Episode 17 already of Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry, and of course that is Kevin Jack in the other window on your screen. Kevin, welcome back for yet another show. Seems we go to bed on a Thursday night and wake up and it's a Thursday morning. Weeks go fast these days, don't they?
Yeah, it seems to. It's Groundhog Day, right? That's what's doing it.
Yeah, we wake up and everybody's Bill Murray. First of all, before we do anything else at all, I do want to welcome a brand new sponsor to the program, and you will see it right above my hat here, is Enwick, high-speed internet, Niagara's local high-speed internet provider. It's a perfect fit for this program, basically because of how we provide the program, as well as the fact that we are Niagara-focused, as are they. Just tell you a little bit about Enwick. They service both rural and urban customers all across the region. They're the region's largest rural provider of high-speed internet. They offer business services up to 1 gigabyte per second. Those of you who are running businesses understand that kind of thing. And they are 100% unlimited service with no contracts. And we want to give a big shout out to Larry Chartier. He is the Director of Sales and Marketing for Enwick that made this thing happen. And it's awesome to have you folks on board. And we are going to be talking with them in the upcoming weeks and telling you more about them. But for now, just to say, hey, happy to have you on board. And of course, as always, our primary sponsor, our title sponsor, fueling this program from the start and continues to support us without reservation, is Gales Gas, fueling Niagara since 57? That's a long time. And one of the things that we love about this program, and it was the kernel of how it started, was it was for Niagara, by Niagara, in Niagara. And every now and then we'll dip our toe outside into the ocean of another region, but only as it might relate to what's happening or someone in Niagara. And all of our sponsors can claim that. Performance, Heating and Air, Carlo and his team. Niagara-based company supporting Niagara as we do. And of course, Enwick, we just talked about. The high-speed internet service located in Niagara, the Verge Insurance Group. And we do have a date on which we're going to be speaking with folks from Verge, and we'll find out more about how they operate in Niagara. But again, it's owned, operated, staffed here in Niagara. And again, to Gales, our title sponsor, always a pleasure to have you on board. Now, the other thing that we're really excited about today is now I have to say this right. It's the Niagara 411 swag store. I know you've been pining away, saying to yourself at night, just before you go to bed, gee, I wish I could buy a T-shirt or a hat or something for that show, or for Niagara 111. I'm dying. I know you say that to yourself. Huh. Anyway, this is very, very cool. You will see on the left-hand side a T-shirt that is representative of Niagara 411. Also want to recognize Nick, the creator and founder of Niagara 411 and our content partner here on the program. And that's the Niagara 411 T-shirt right there for $25. And these are high quality goods, by the way. Now, you might think we're shilling, and we are a little bit, but we'll tell you more in just a second. Now, the shirt next door to that is this show's T-shirt. And of course, I know you're going to be falling all over yourself to want to get one of these.
Hopefully, Lee.
Yeah, that's the Niagara 411 live with Lee Sterry shirt. And no, my name's not on it, so it's okay. You don't have to embarrass yourself by walking down the street. It's just a live shirt. And of course, the Niagara 411 hat. Each one of these articles sells for $25 on the website. We'll tell you where to go. And the other thing is the fact that $2 from the Niagara 411 T-shirt goes to Wellspring Niagara, which is a Niagara Cancer Support Organization. So $2 from every one of those shirts goes to support Wellspring Niagara. $2 from the live T-shirt goes to the Momentum Choir. They've been on the program and kind of a pet charity, if you will, of Kevin and WeeStream and yours truly here at the program. We've supported this group, Kevin in particular, for many years. So a couple of bucks from that shirt is going to Momentum Choir, all right? And this is what it's going to look like when you go to the shop site.
Yeah, actually, this you'll see on Niagara 411 at 1:30 this afternoon. As soon as we're off the air, the store is open. That's the grand opening, and you'll see this post on Niagara 411. Just click on that photo, and it'll bring you right to the webpage that we just had up there, the actual store. So
I don't get a freebie. I'm going to buy one, or two, or three, or whatever it is.
Now, it's important to note, Lee, that this is a limited sale.
Oh, right. I forgot that.
It's only available for 1 week.
Yeah. The orders have to go in between today at 1:30 and May the 6th, is it, Kevin?
Yeah, May 6th, 1 week from now.
Yeah. Okay, so you got a week to order a shirt or a hat, and make sure that a donation goes to where it's supposed to go, which is either Wellspring Niagara or the Momentum Choir. All right, this is something that Kevin's been talking about, and we've been chit-chatting back and forth. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes work goes into creating a store and products that you want to put your name on, that you feel good about, and we feel good about these, and that's just so cool. So as of 1:30 today, they will be available. You can place your orders in whatever quantity. And Kevin estimated time of arrival. Now, there's a pickup and or delivery plan, right?
Yeah, so you can pick it up from Brand Boulevard. They are the local company in St. Catharines that we've partnered with.
Right.
All the details are available on the website, okay? You'll find it all there. If you want it delivered to your door, it's a flat rate of $15. So, if you're local, St. Catharines, proximate, picking it up seems to make sense. But if you're going to make a special trip from Fort Erie, maybe you just pay the $15 and have it delivered.
Okay.
But there you go. And we'll start delivery on May 7th.
Yeah.
Right? So we have 1 week to order them, and after they're ordered, then we'll buy them all.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
I don't know. Seems to make it confusing. Here's an easy deal. $25. T-shirts, hats, $2 from every sale goes to either Wellspring Niagara or Momentum Choir. That's it in a nutshell.
Right. And of course, some of that overhead goes back to the company that makes the shirts. So, it's a whole thing. But there you go. Very nice. Very good. Very nice design on there. I particularly like the live one, but I suppose that's a little bit. That's a little bit on the biased side. Yes, Nick, the Niagara 411 shirt's very clean, very neat, and tidy, but very cool. And all of you people that have, all kidding aside, supported and provide content, pictures, videos, information, whatever, to Niagara 411, and there are thousands of you out there. Nick thanks you. We thank you because we do have this content sharing plan with Nick, and it's wonderful to have all those eyes and ears on the ground here in Niagara, and it would be really cool if you grabbed yourself a shirt and also helped some charities here, a ball cap or whatever. And I believe you will be able to get out on the golf courses pretty soon, so you can wear the cap. I have a feeling they're gonna backpedal again on some of the COVID stuff. Want to tell you what's coming up on the program at less than 10 minutes from now, actually. Chris Shuurman is going to be joining us. Probably not a name that you would think of as a household name or someone that you may have heard of, but you'll know what his position is. He is the Local 16 branch president of the Customs and Immigration Union. Now, something came to light this past week that a lot of us were rather shocked about, and that is the fact that Canada Border Services guards are not immunized. They are not prioritized to be immunized, and there is no particular plan to prioritize them to be immunized. I want to read you something that Chris Shuurman wrote, and he is the local president. He's not somewhere in Ottawa or whatever. The CSBA being a federal agency, but nevertheless, Chris is local. He wrote this in an email. As you may be aware, Niagara Region is one of the last regions not to put BSOs, that's Border Service Officers, on the priority list for vaccines. We cannot understand why. We're processing COVID-positive travelers in numbers on a daily basis, as well as dozens of testing and quarantine non-compliant travelers. We complete arrests under the Criminal Code, Customs Act, and Immigration Act, process refugees, deport foreign nationals internationally, all while not being vaccinated. Please help our officers. Our officers are increasingly concerned and feel like our work on front line since day one is not being valued. So that's sort of the kernel of what we're going to be talking to Chris about. And about 12:20.
Lee, just to stop you there, I wanted to share this post that came across my Facebook feed.
Yeah, this is good.
Everybody in Niagara knows somebody that's a border guard. We just do, right? Everybody knows somebody that works at the border. And I'll leave his name out of this, so I've kind of scrolled up a little too far. But you can read, and this is what border guards are dealing with, and this is his firsthand account from working at the border this week.
This is, as Kevin said, from someone he knows that is a border service guard. Literally dealt with a traveler yesterday who was returning to Canada and was COVID positive. I discovered this after handling all of her documents, etc., as she tried to hide that fact. Local government says we're not priority for a vaccine, though. Now, that's one of the questions we're going to ask Chris as well, is we know this is a federally regulated profession. It doesn't come under local auspices normally. It doesn't come under provincial authority either. It is a federal organization, the CSBA. So here you go. This is happening in real time every single day. And you might say, well, the borders are closed. How busy can they be? Well, they are very busy. Just because the borders are closed to travelers like you and I, trucks go across there every day. There are the so-called essential travelers that go across every day. People like this woman returning to Canada, and God knows how many other situations see people crossing the border every single day. And it's something somewhere that has fallen through the proverbial crack, and nobody seems to want to take responsibility for it. And we'll get to the bottom of it a little bit more with Chris when he comes on in a few minutes. Also coming on today on the program, 12:45-ish, Natho. Okay. I apologize, Uwe, for really attempting to butcher your name. He is representing the Save the St. Catharines YMCA group. Now, you remember that, of course, the McBain Center in Niagara Falls said that they were going to be closing permanently. The YMCA Drive YMCA in St. Catharines, not long after that, announced exactly the same thing. And we were rather incredulous about the fact that while you could understand that they might want to close or need to close temporarily, that an announcement of a permanent closure, well, that's pretty permanent. And it seemed odd and somehow not right to us, and also apparently to others, because this group made a presentation to St. Catharines City Council very, very recently, and we'll find out a little bit more from Uwe about where we are with trying to save the YMCA in St. Catharines, or where they are. And approximately 1:10 today, just a heck of a background story, but the main reason is the fact that there's an organization that you've no doubt heard of called Justice for Black Lives. Niagara named Sherry Darlene is actually in North Carolina, and we're going to be speaking to her from North Carolina, and I'm not going to tell you why yet. I want to sort of tease you with this a little bit, because it's the side story, or the backstory to Sherry Darlene and her family is fascinating. But we're going to be speaking with her about Justice for Black Lives. It is an organization similar to, but not the same as, Black Lives Matter. That is the most, I guess, well-known organization that falls into this category. But Just for Black Lives is the organization that Sherry Darlene represents. So those are the folks that are going to be coming on the program. And I know it sounds very, very full, but you can also come on the program, which is originally why we did this thing, to give you a video live streaming in real-time moment to participate in things that are important to you and important to Niagarans. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, all you have to do is click on the Zoom link in the post, and it'll scoot you into what we call our green room, Zoom room. Keep your camera turned on, because that gives Kevin the clue that you want to get involved with the program, and then he'll do the rest. All right. So how was your week?
Now let me show you what your week was like.
Oh, you're going to put those up now?
Yeah, you had a big day. Well, we can readdress it later, but I think now's a good time.
All right, so I did the COVID shot yesterday, and I told Kevin I would document as best as possible. I wasn't too sure whether they would appreciate videos being taken because of privacy issues and things like that. So I tried to take some pretty innocuous still shots. The first one was the front of Seymour Hanna over on St. Paul West. That one there is where we entered. The security guards there telling you when you can go in and not. That's the lineup I was in of people waiting to actually check in with their health card and their confirmation number before they went through the system, and it moved pretty quickly. The next shot is yours truly. Dave Mukparian was kind enough to give us a couple hats, so I thought, why don't I promo Fiddler's Poorhouse? There's a Fiddler's Poorhouse hat shot. So there we go. Now that after you checked in at that table, that those people were lined up, you saw before, they sent you into another line, and that line went down. If you've ever been in Seymour Hanna, I guess it doesn't matter. But anyway, there was a little ramp that you go into to actually get into the bowl of the arena, into the rink area. So you go down the ramp and you enter one of the doors that the players would go through into the arena, into the rink area. And man, was it ever well organized. They had sets like this. That's a vaccination table right there. And they had those all around the perimeter of the boards of the rink. All right? And they had one person at each one, and they were distanced by well more than 6 feet, probably 12 feet anyway, all around the perimeter. So you go in and you sit down in the chair. My guy's not there quite yet, and then you go through the routine. And I had a young man he said, I got nothing there right now, I got to go. So the reason he's not sitting at the table is he had to go get some more vaccines. He'd run out. So he scoots out back, and then I roll up the sleeve and do the thing. And that's it. And one of the things that I didn't feel a thing, I swear, I did not.
I'm just checking for tears.
No. Actually, I'm looking at the phone because it happened so fast and was so unobtrusive that I was afraid I'd miss the shot. So, like, not that shot. I was afraid I'd miss the camera shot. So, and then they give you this sticker, and that shows you exactly the time that you were vaccinated. And then you go over and you sit in the center of the bowl of the arena, and all the chairs are there, distanced with takeaway paraphernalia, information sheets, etc. And after 15 minutes, so I had to wait till, like, obviously 1:25, I could get up and walk out to the checkout area where they give you a printed out sticker. It's so well organized. A printed out sticker of who gave you the shot, what vaccine it was. In my case, it was the Pfizer one that they were doing there, and everything that you need to know. They call it a vaccination receipt, and then you bring that back to your second vaccination when it's time to go in for vaccination number 2. It's just I just want to thank everybody on behalf of all of us that go through that, because it's so smooth, it's so easy, everybody's so nice, and there's so many people involved. We can talk more about that later. Without further ado, we have Chris Shuurman waiting here in the wings. He is Local 16 Branch President for the Customs and Immigrations Union. Chris, welcome to Niagara 411 Live. How you doing?
Hi, Lee. How are you?
I am well. So, were you watching the program from the beginning here at all?
No, unfortunately, I had to take a phone call.
Okay.
At the beginning. I've been on for about 5 minutes or so.
Okay, just to bring you up to date, I did read part of an email that you sent out talking about the fact that you and your officers cannot understand why they're not prioritized for vaccines, in spite of the number of different things that you perform. Your officers have to perform on the front line every day. And the officers are increasingly concerned about the fact that they seem to have been the forgotten soldiers in this since the beginning. Can you please bring us up to date on where this situation is today?
Okay, so it is a little confusing.
That's okay. We have time.
We've restarted lobbying the federal government in December and January, along with our employer, to try and get us, because there was a federal priority list put out, and we lobbied to get up as high up on there as we could, and it went eventually into the provincial government's hands, and they also did a priority list. As we're all aware, there was phase 1 and phase 2, essential workers being put on phase 2, the beginning of phase 2. And things started to roll out. We had a lot of help lobbying from Wayne Gates' office. And Doug Ford came on the news, if you remember, about 2 weeks ago, saying, appreciating the work that we're doing, and saying if the federal government doesn't get us vaccines, that he was going to make it happen. So, as you may be aware, the regions, the public health regions, I think there's 34 of them in Ontario, have final say over who gets vaccinated based on the immediate situation in each region. So as far as I know, it's Hamilton and Niagara who haven't decided yet to prioritize border services officers.
What about other places across the province?
Windsor has been a go for about a week. Sarnia has been a go, I think, for more than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Peel's been a go for 3 weeks. Halton's been a go for at least 2 weeks. Northern Ontario's been a go for 2 or 3 weeks. So it's lying straight on Niagara here.
So has there been any assistance from any counselor or counselors or lobbyists, whoever from the Niagara region to move this forward? Who's helping you out, if anybody?
We've had a lot of help from local politicians here. It's been warming for us that people seem to be aware of the work we do and the importance of it. We've had help from Bob Gale, especially in Niagara Council. I don't know if you saw Tony Baldinelli in the House of Commons this past week. Tony Diodati was on the news as well. Pete Nicholson's been very good as well. So shout out to all our local politicians who seem to understand.
All right, so it is, judging by what you said, in spite of the fact that your organization and your officers obviously are a federally regulated body, and this occurs all across the province, it's still up to the local officials, the local health authorities, to decide what goes on. It takes the federal and provincial people basically out of the ball game. Is that correct?
So our chief medical officer here in Niagara, Dr. Hirji.
Dr. Hirji, yes.
He seems to be the nexus of the decisions to be made.
Have we heard anything from him about anything to do with this at all?
Yeah, I believe he responded to questions from our local Niagara Regional Council this week.
Okay.
He is using the provincial priority list to say that, hey, everybody needs vaccines, and if I bump one person up or one group of people up, then somebody gets bumped down in the priority. The ironic thing about that is that he has already bumped up several groups of people who are supposed to be in phase 2. Firefighters, police.
Chris, sorry to interrupt, but isn't that the whole point of priorities? That's the whole point of prioritize. If we make this a higher priority, then something is a lesser priority. Well, duh, that's kind of the meaning of the word, isn't it? I
agree. I mean, and I'm not going to sit here and say, other people don't need it, but I can tell you that no other department who has the authority as a peace officer under the criminal code to go on hands-on and arrest. And we don't just arrest under the criminal code, we arrest under the Customs Act and the Immigration and Refugee Act. We're the only ones who haven't been immunized.
Now, there's something, Chris, that came to me as a rumor. I don't like to repeat rumors, but in this case, because you're right there and you know what's going on the front lines, I was told, the source shall remain nameless, that at one point the American Border Service guards even offered to come across the bridge and vaccinate their Canadian brethren on this side. Is that true? Did that happen?
Okay, so it has happened in a couple of places in Canada, maybe more than actually a few more than a couple of places in Canada. I did reach out to the union president in Niagara, New York, for the Customs and Border Patrol to see if maybe it's something that could happen here. There are some things in the works, I believe, in Northern Ontario. I haven't yet received any confirmation about anything, but
if that's the case, isn't that a little embarrassing?
I would say it would be quite embarrassing that our own government can't procure that for their own workers. Yes.
Okay, so doing a backtrack here to the major question at hand. When you talked about the fact that Niagara's acting medical officer of health, Dr. Hirji, said that if they bumped you up, they'd have to bump somebody else down. So that's sort of a non-answer as to what's happening. Can you expand on that a little bit, or tell us if you have any idea where and when you're going to fit into the priority list?
Well, it's hard to say right now because, there's the bigger picture outside of Niagara right now. Toronto's a hot spot, and the province is now talking about redirecting vaccines from regions where we don't have the new daily cases as high and pushing them into Toronto. So somebody could tell me right now you're going to get it at the end of May, but it may be a lot longer. It really depends on supply, from my understanding.
And once again, it rather subverts, in my opinion, the whole concept of prioritization. And one of the other stories that is out there that would affect your officers, our officers, is I have heard numerous stories about people that are flying back, Canadians are flying back to Canada or flying into Buffalo or Niagara Falls, New York, to the airport there, taking cabs to the border and walking across the bridges. Now, they're still susceptible to COVID protocols, i.e. quarantining, but they don't have to stay in government-mandated hotels. So they're kind of getting around it in that way. So is that not another risk point for your people on the border?
It is. It's a huge risk, and it's a huge concern for us in terms of health and safety. So the federal government closed off flights from India, and what we found into the airports, I think there's 4 airports that are open right now.
Yeah.
They closed that loophole, and the problem is when you stick your finger in the hole of the dike, you got to watch for it to come out elsewhere, right?
Right.
And what we're noticing is that we're getting the traffic crossing at Rainbow Bridge, and and as you know, India is a very scary place right now in terms of COVID, and we're seeing that spill over in Niagara at the land border.
All right, how many officers are we talking about that you represent in your local, Chris?
So if I was to combine Niagara Falls local with Fort Erie local, I would say there's probably, and it would be hard to say because some of our officers most of our officers over 40 are reaching out for AstraZeneca. So roughly estimating maybe 500 vaccines is what we're looking for.
All right, so we have 500 people and all of their related, all of their families, et cetera, people that are close contacts with them that are basically at risk because they can't be prioritized for shots due to the fact that they come in contact with strangers every day. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of families. I mean, if you do the pyramid, they're coming in contact with a lot of people every day.
And the irony is that we're actually screening officers under the Quarantine Act. So since day one, when the borders got closed down, 13 months ago, we have been enforcing the Quarantine Act. We are the ones who have been checking people for symptoms. We are the ones who've been referring them to quarantine. And, we have the Red Cross and Public Health at the borders right now who are watching people do the self-test, because that's part of the regulations now, is that do a self-test right at the border or within 24 hours. Well, they're at the border, not dealing with maybe 10% of the travelers we deal with, and they're all quarantined. So Dr. Hirji vaccinated his own people who are at the border, but for some reason doesn't feel the need to vaccinate us.
All right, and on that note, which is a pretty powerful one, we shall leave it there. Chris Shuurman, Local 16 Branch President of Customs and Immigration Union here. Thanks for taking the time to come and explain this to us, and hopefully we can play some role in giving it a nudge forward. Thanks again.
Thank you for the time.
All right, man, take care. All right, just another little wrinkle in the thing that is COVID-19. Here in Niagara. And I think it was, just about every week that we've talked about this, that I mentioned the fact that if you try to wrap your head around it and try to make sense of everything, like use common sense with everything, you will be fighting a losing battle and you'll be chasing your tail because there are so many things that don't make sense.
It's a little ridiculous. Why does one person have so much power? It seems interesting that Mr. Shuurman there said when talking to Dr. Hirji, they said, well, we don't want to prioritize people. We're taking the lead of the province. But when it comes to other decisions, like whether or not we're going to close restaurants and completely neuter their ability to make a profit, we're just going to go rogue and make our own decisions.
But then the province said, hey, no, don't put it on us.
I know
It's you.
It's a great excuse and
Like
convenient.
take the monkey off somebody's back and put it on somebody else's, as they used to say in business. Hey, it's not my monkey, it's your monkey. Sir, I don't mean to malign monkeys, but
that last point that he made is even more frustrating.
that's the powerful part.
That the local health officials that have to interact at the border, they got vaccinated. And again, I put up that post a little while ago of a buddy of mine who is a border guard. He didn't know I was going to throw it up. He just vented on Facebook that I had to interact today with somebody who identified as COVID positive.
Yeah, look how long the teachers had to lobby before they were prioritized. Well, when you prioritize the teachers, somebody got moved down. The whole definition, at the risk of repeating myself, the whole definition of priorities is prioritizing. My God, so if you decide all of a sudden now number 5 on the priority list has to move to number 6 because we're going to plug border service officers into the number 5 spot, well, that's the way it is because they're more at risk.
I know, and
it's just ridiculous.
Well, even more so that we prioritize teachers, and I'm all for that, but then the first day of the new March break, they said the kids aren't going back to school, which means their priority kind of diminished a little bit. I'm all for the fact, but if you think of it, teachers aren't.
It's not as important as it was prior to the break.
So if you had to put a pause on that to bring in border service agents,
why not?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're just two guys, Lee. We can't solve everybody's problems.
We're just 2 guys and a mic.
Here, I threw up the COVID numbers.
Okay, let's have a look here. New cases on April 29th. That would be today. 166 active cases, 2990 about, new resolved cases 17, total number of cases 13,704. That's since the whole schlemazel began. A total number of deaths 391 people, condolences, and total number of resolved cases 10,000. But I don't know what those numbers mean anymore, Kevin. They've stopped having any credibility for me because this whole prioritization thing, we talked about it last week, using a shotgun instead of a rifle is, as far as targets are concerned, and places like this continue, Fiddler's Poorhouse, places like this continue to struggle with trying to keep their staff employed, and obviously they can't. And it's really the staffs, the little, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, the little people, the part-timers, and the people that are working maybe 3 jobs to make a living and support their family or just pay the rent. And I know it sounds dramatic, but Kevin, it's true. That is a segment of the society that is out there. Yep. It might not be you and me, but it is you to an extent, and it is me to another extent.
When I look at the subsidies that are made available to people and then think that a family in Toronto would have to survive where the cost of living is 2-3 times that of here in Niagara, and thinking a family there gets the same allocation, they get the same money that somebody, a part-time worker here, would receive through the various different government grants and loans and CERBs and this, that, and the other. How can they survive? How can a single mother survive in Toronto right now? How can they even make it to the end of the month?
I do not know.
I have no clue. I have no clue at all. It's brutal. We're kind of in limbo right now.
Is that how you feel too? I feel exactly the same way. I feel like we're just treading water here.
I do. I feel that
maybe that's how we're supposed to feel. Maybe that's how the medical people want us to feel. But when I saw those, sorry, I know you've got a thought.
No, all good.
But when I was at Seymour Hanna getting my COVID shot yesterday, I was truly struck for the first time, because it's the first time I was actually involved in the process, that the number of people that were there doing their jobs. The fellow that, see those blue gloves, the hands of the person with the needle, that gentleman, nice young fella, could have been a street cleaner for all I knew. The man that gave me the needle is an orthopedic surgeon here in Niagara. So we have all levels of healthcare professionals and volunteers operating in this, pardon the pun, arena to make sure we're healthy. I got a COVID shot. I got a needle from an orthopedic surgeon. Okay, that was impressive. The other thing is the fact that I guess because of all the impact on surgeries and electives that are going on, all the restrictions that are happening, maybe your average, if there is such a thing, orthopedic surgeon doesn't have a lot of orthopedic surgeries to perform. So here we are given needles, and God bless you all the people that were there. A great organization, super well conducted, very efficient, and I couldn't have been more impressed by going through the process. Some people do experience some side effects to the shot. I've had none. I don't even have a sore arm that some people have had just because of where the needle goes in. Nothing. I'm fine.
Yeah, how are you feeling?
I feel great.
And
I feel great.
Popular question these days: what'd you get?
Oh, the Pfizer one.
You got the Pfizer.
Yes.
Okay.
And an automatic one. When you make the appointment online, they give you the automatic second shot date, and mine is in August. Remember, at first they said it was supposed to be 3 weeks later. Then they changed the time frame between first and second shot, so they've been reevaluated all along. Anyway, I'm supposed to go back in August.
That's good. The limbo that I think we're stuck in, Lee, and I don't think I'm alone in this, is one half of society, or I guess one half of my brain is saying, hey, look, people like Lee are getting the shot. My parents got the shot. I'm registered for the shot. My wife is registered for the vaccine. Everybody's getting vaccinated. And then on the other side of the brain, it's saying, we've got record number of cases in Ontario. Lockdowns more stringent than we've ever had before, and we're kind of wondering, well, which is it? Are we vaccinating people so we're safe, or is this the worst outbreak that we've had?
And then
how do we live in both worlds at the same time?
I don't know. But there's almost a third world to add to what you were talking about, and the third world are those people that honestly do believe that they have scientific support for the fact that this whole thing is ridiculous, that it's a scam, and it doesn't make any sense, and it's not really happening. And there are some very seemingly intelligent people that hold this belief, and there are those that also hold, and I'm really friends, not like Facebook friends, like friends, with a couple of people that are not stupid people. They're pretty smart folks that actually believe that the vaccines themselves are more harm than good. And it's like, and so I was standing in line yesterday, and here I am, and I'm announcing today, and I'm happy about the fact that I'm doing my part to get the shot and the whole thing, and I feel good about it, don't get me wrong. But part of me was saying, what if some of these people are right and I'm one of those sheep that are falling in line? Maybe I'm just being force-fed stuff, and then your mind starts to work, and the conspiracy theorists start to take over, and then you wonder, well, what is the truth? To tell you the truth, Kevin, I would really love to see a very, very intellectually based, scientifically based debate between people with off-the-charts credentials on either side of this matter, both the vaccine matter as well as the COVID matter, and I really would be interested in that.
I'd be really interested as well. Unfortunately, most of the people representing the other side come at you with PCR tests are invalid or flawed.
Yeah,
You're like,
it's the same.
It's a bit of it's a non-starter. Well, people die every year of the flu. Well, that's a non-starter of a conversation. Let's have a real conversation where at least we can get somewhere.
And hundreds of thousands of people in India aren't screaming for oxygen in the streets because of the flu.
No. I'll tell you, Lee, I don't think you're going to find the answer here, but some people think they have the answer. This is not by means of promotion, but just wanted to throw it up there so people know what's going on.
Oh, here we go again. In spite of the people that were charged, etc., there was a rally, you'll know, a few weeks back in St. Catharines. Then there was one the next weekend in Niagara Falls, and they're back. The no more lockdowns people, they're supposed to, and we're not advertising it, folks. We're just letting you know what's going on in your world.
Yeah,
there's another one happening.
Yeah, so you're not caught off guard on Saturday. Now, Memorial Park, that's just right next to the White House.
Right down the street.
Next to Burgoyne Bridge, where the cenotaph is.
It's the cenotaph. Like, and isn't that a little ironic?
Yeah, a little sad, really.
It is a little. It's a lot sad. I mean, the cenotaph there is there as a memorial to all of the people that gave their lives to give us our freedom, and hence you'll see Freedom March. But does your freedom entail putting your fellow citizen at risk? I don't think so. YMCA of Niagara, we'll move on. YMCA of Niagara announces the Walker Family YMCA has been listed for sale. You'll recall we talked about this quite some time ago. Process expected to unfold over the next 6 to 10 months. The YMCA of Niagara listing the Walker Family Y building and property at 25 YMCA Drive. It's the one over where the old Costco is, for sale as it examines new program delivery options in St. Catharines. Joining us on the program is, am I saying it right, Uwe? Is that okay?
A1.
Okay, gotcha. Uwe Natho is with the Save the St. Catharines YMCA group. Tell us about your group, first of all, Uwe.
Well, we are members that found out on March the 11th that the Y was closing, and that was the first time we heard of it. We were in shock, and we said, well, what are we going to do? We lost some sleep for about 24 hours and said, hey, we got to do something about this.
Right.
And we didn't want to be part of that silent minority or majority. We wanted to step up and say, hey, I've tried. Even if we fail, we can say we tried, and I know in the long term, we will change something. But we're quite positive. Otherwise, I wouldn't be as energetic, as committed, and taking up your time here today. We think we can turn this around.
Hey, you're not taking up my time. We've wanted to talk to you folks for about the last 3 weeks or so since this announcement came out. I mean, I know it was longer than 3 weeks ago, but we've been going back and forth for a while, so I'm really happy that you're here. Now, one of the things that I was really shocked about, and of course this is the second YMCA to announce that it's going to be permanently closed. The first one, Niagara Falls, the McBain Center, and now the Walker Family YMCA St. Catharines that you're talking about. And it always seemed to me, I can understand a business or an organization shutting temporarily or shutting down some of its services temporarily while this COVID thing gets under control. But what was shocking to me, Uwe, was the fact that they announced that this was going to be a permanent decision. Didn't that kind of, obviously it made you think as well?
It definitely wasn't a COVID situation. It may have affected their final, but they made a decision to sell before that. And I guess it highlights that the Niagara Region Y is having some serious financial difficulties.
Okay.
And they've been wrestling with this for a while, and we've seen some of the financials, and yeah, they do have a lot of red ink. So they didn't come to this conclusion lightly, but I do believe, and that's why I'm heading the campaign, there are alternatives that haven't really been exhausted.
And what is if you were going to, here we go with that word prioritize again, if you were going to prioritize your solutions or your alternatives, what sort of plan are you and your group championing right now?
Well, basically, we met with the Y board, and they gave us a very good overview. I then prepared a paper on how we saw it could become financially viable. And they gave us the time to present it at the Audit and Compliance Committee on April the 14th, gave us good airtime, and basically came back and said, there's too many extenuating circumstances. We're going to proceed with the sale. Some of those circumstances we've since disproved, or even disproved at that meeting. For example, that this building is old, it's falling apart, we're going to have some major infrastructure problems. Tom Rankin and his group have been in there looking at it with the idea of maybe buying it. And he's put a clean bit of health on that building and said, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. But it is a unifunctional building. And therefore, if the sale should happen to go ahead, be prepared that it's going to get knocked down and something else, be put in its place.
Okay.
So what we've done is basically sat back and said, with all the services that the Y provides,
right,
if it disappears, there's going to be a backlash into the city of people that need a facility like this. The physically challenged people, the people that need financial aid, the 11 plus organizations that currently utilize the Y for various, be it mental health, be it just having stroke recovery victims, etc. Use these facilities to their advantage. And then you've got the children's swim programs, you've got the basketball programs and so on, the youth that needs a place to go. So I approached the city and said, listen, this is of value to you, and isn't there a way we can form a partnership? And the outcome of the city council meeting on Monday was a unanimous support by all city councilors to have me pursue with the city and with the Y to see what a partnership could look like.
Okay. So, again, kudos to City Council for doing that. The other side of that coin, though, is the fact that the City Council can vote on supporting an initiative all at once until perhaps the rubber hits the road and there is some sort of financial partnership or obligation or something like that. So it's nice to be, it's nice to get the emotional support. But when it comes to tangible support, what is it you think you're going to be looking at? Have you taken any further? I know it was just Monday that you made the presentation. What are next steps with the city and the staff to try to come up with something viable? What happens now?
Excellent question, Lee. I'm not going to go too far because obviously I've got a plan. Phil Christie, who's the staff person from the Y, I'm sure has a plan. And I know Dr. Johnson, Susan Johnson is representing the Y side. Like the three of us are forming this committee to see what could be a viable partnership model. Partnerships take various shapes and sizes.
Yes, they do.
At the end of the day, reality is that the Y has got financial difficulties, and to save the Walker Y, money has to come from somewhere. So I gave, in that report I was talking about, I gave 6 different alternatives. One of them was naming rights. You know, the Walker family, great. They put in about $1 million back in 1990, and they've had naming rights on that building ever since. Naming rights today, you know, for about a 3-year period, go for somewhere around $500,000. So is that one of the solutions? It is in my books. Mm-hmm. So am I saying the city needs to open up the purse string and be the big savior? No, I'm being realistic enough in this environment that isn't going to work. But if you have to find a home for these physically challenged people I was talking about a minute ago, they got to go somewhere. So there is some impact on the recreation budget.
The other thing too, there are organizations and places like the Meridian Center or other entertainment and sports venues, etc. They hire companies to be their marketers, money makers, fundraisers, etc. They have a mandate to do it. Maybe there's some sort of alternative like that with the YMCA to bring in a group that says, "Hey, we'll turn this business around for you for a price."
Well, interesting. Chris, hey, you want to join my committee?
I've just been around. I've had a few trips around the sun, Uwe. I've just seen this happen a bit.
Oh, I'm with you. You noticed I said earlier I had 6 points in my presentation of how to turn it around. A big one, a very big one, was the whole of marketing. The Y has not marketed itself. People think that, hey, the rates over there are triple than what I pay at the Golden Gym down the street. When 30% of the people are financially subsidized, it's got to come from somewhere, and right now it comes from the membership.
Right.
So marketing is key essential. Am I ready to do fundraising? Like I play squash, and I've said, hey, I can run 2 tournaments a year, and I can probably raise $25,000, $30,000 per tournament. We can have other fundraising events, and I said we can probably raise 250 as members. We can raise 200 and some odd thousand. I was even bold enough to sort of say, before you hire any consultant, tap into the knowledge base of your membership and say, hey, what's the best way to approach this?
Right.
Like the people that have come, I'm going to use, you may not like my line, but out of the woodwork, on this basis that we're doing something, who said, I can help you. We had some legal advice recently that I would have probably paid $2,000 to $3,000 for. I got it for free.
Yeah.
The Y has underestimated the power of its membership and has not involved them.
Yeah, and the people in the community that want to volunteer. Well, I know these are early days, and I champion your enthusiasm going through this at a pretty tough time. And you and your group, keep us posted, will you, on what steps that you're going through. You know how to find us, and you guys have been back and forth. So keep us in the loop so that we can keep people here on Niagara 411 Live updated as to what the steps are that are taking place and how things are going.
Sounds great.
All right.
I'd be pleased to do that, Lee. And thank you for your time.
Hey, our esteemed pleasure, Uwe Natho, the group Saving the St. Catharines YMCA are hoping to at least give rebirth or renewal to what's happening at the YMCA.
If I got just 1 second, anybody who's listening who wants to approach me, we have an email address titled helpsavethey@gmail.com.
Oh, that's pretty easy. Helpsavethey@gmail.com. Sold.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a good day.
And you, my friend. Nice man. And I guess these are the times when people do come together in a strange bedfellow sort of way. and kudos to those folks for giving it a shot. And the thing that I liked about him off the top was, you know what, we might fail, but at least we're going to give it a shot. And that's good. So Godspeed on that. I've used that Y before. I was a member for a couple of years shortly after I moved here, because it's not all that far from my house, and I found it a wonderful place to go. It didn't seem old and decrepit and unused or whatever. It was very busy. It was very vibrant. It was clean. It was like, and I thought it was a great place to get some exercise and recreation. It's good. Also coming up today at 1:10-ish, 10 minutes or so. Wow, Kevin, the show's flying by.
It is just flying. I'm looking forward to this guest.
Yeah, me too. Sherry Darlene. She is with the organization Justice for Black Lives. It is not Black Lives Matters. It's similar but has its own mandate. Similar but not the same. Okay. And there's the Facebook post, Justice for Black Lives Society and Culture website. So Sherry's going to be joining us actually from North Carolina today. And she is in North Carolina for a very special reason. You might say, why are these people traveling about, the whole COVID thing? Well, this is definitely a very, very unique situation in which she found herself having to be in North Carolina this week. And I'm not going to spill the beans just yet, but it's very, very historically interesting. And while we have a moment, I do want to once again thank our sponsors. We get in the middle of conversations and then I realize, hey, we haven't given credit where credit is due here often enough, so we're going to do that right now. Niagara 411 Live with Lee Sterry is, of course, executively produced and planned and technically produced as well by Kevin Jack of WeeStreem Niagara. Niagara's Ontario, maybe the country's only live streaming company in this form. Believe me, it's a wonderful bunch to work with. If there is any event, especially now when we cannot gather, if there is any event or happening coming up that you need to do virtually, these are the guys to talk to. That's it. That's about as simple as it gets. Anything you can't do live that you want to do virtually, WeeStreem. And remember how to spell it. W-E-E Stream. S-T-R-E-E-M. We have a WeeStream sort of happening out on St. Paul Street right now.
We do.
We have a wet day. Also, the Niagara 411 Live is fueled by Gale's Gas Bars, and we continue to thank them for their continued support of this program. Performance Heating and Air. We talked with Carlo of Performance Heating and Air a couple weeks ago. Just a great bunch. And again, all of these companies are centered in Niagara for Niagarans and operated here, and that's why we wanted them with the program. Performance Heating and Air, thank you very much for staying with us. Our brand new sponsor came on board this week, Enwick, Niagara's high-speed internet company, and again, it is in Niagara, and we'll be telling you more about Enwick as the weeks go by. And Verge Insurance Group, we also thank you folks for being with us. Mark Shirk and his company, and once again, it is a locally owned, operated, managed, staffed company. All right. Just to back up to Enwick a little bit, because they are brand new, give you a little bit more information about them. They service both rural and urban customers all across the region. They're the region's largest rural provider of high-speed internet. And of course, that's always been a challenge since the internet was invented by Al Gore, I think it was.
Fake news. Fake news.
Back in the 80s. Connectivity in rural regions has always been the issue, and it still is to some degree these days.
Lee, I mean, I'll just interject there. I do have rural internet because I got no hard line that's sufficient.
Right.
I've got Bell. It sucks. Go to Enwick.
Well, we bought out the business down the street.
Yeah, we finally...
You guys bought out my office.
Yep, we got the office. Congratulations,
Don't
Lee.
forget to put a shot up on that later, the WeeStream booth.
Yeah, the WeeStream booth. It's good.
Yeah.
They still collect the quarters, though.
Yeah, we have to give them something. I mean, that was part of the multi-billion-dollar deal, wasn't it?
I never read the fine print.
Oh, so you got to read the little ones. Okay. Also, Enwick offers business services up to a gigabyte per second, and 100% unlimited service, no contracts involved. Those are just some of the talking points for Enwick. So, to Performance Heating and Air, Enwick High Speed Internet, Verge Insurance Group. Thanks a lot for helping us make this program happen, and as always, fueled by Gale's Gas Bars.
Now, where do you want to go here, Lee?
Well,
it's host's choice.
Host's choice. We were talking about a few things today. There was you showed me something on Canada Games Park.
Oh yeah, do you want me to get that?
Yeah, and then we'll do that shot of the fire truck at that intersection. We'll talk a little bit how the internet is.
Okay, well, I dig that stuff up. I know this is something you wanted to touch on today.
Oh,
Was that submerged car there on the Niagara Parkway?
yeah. I glanced down. I just realized that was on my list. Sorry, I got a little bug or something in my ear there. This was a really interesting post that was on Niagara 411, Niagara River Parkway at Shirk Road in Niagara Falls. Motor vehicle collision. The vehicle was found partially submerged. Okay, so that's interesting to start with, and that's kind of scary as well. Now, when crews arrived to start performing a rescue operation, there were multiple people, it says, seen running from the scene. Niagara Regional Police on location with canines, obviously they're dogs, searching the area. Falls Fire Department looking after the vehicle. EMS also is on the scene. No injuries reported. 90 minutes after the collision, emergency crews have been in contact with the one patient that was injured seriously, apparently, because they had to be airlifted to an out-of-town trauma center. But it was it a stolen? We never saw any follow-up to this, did we, Kevin? I was looking for it, and we never saw any follow-up to it. So a vehicle collision of some sort goes into the water, and people start taking off. Stolen car? I don't know. It was just weird. Oh, there was the other one, the other strange one. That's what we were talking about, Kevin. Now, here is a strange way to word this. Yeah, oh, you know what I'm talking about? The shooting?
Yeah. That was weird. Well, was it a shooting or what was it?
I don't know. There were like two stories. The first story said there was a Niagara residence shot up, and then this one came out, says Niagara. This was the headline from the Niagara Regional Police Service: Niagara resident hit with gunshots. Now I know what it means, but doesn't it sound a little bit weird? Why didn't it just say Niagara resident shot? Like hit with gunshots, just sort of randomly. Right there, Niagara, I'm not lying to you. Niagara Falls residents hit with gunshots. How was your day? Oh, I was just hit with a gunshot.
You know why, Lee?
You mean you were shot? No, I was hit with a gunshot.
You know why, Lee? It's in the minutia. I forgot about this one. It's the residents.
The residents was shot up.
Right, but I don't think a resident was hit. The house was hit, not anybody inside the house.
Oh, that doesn't say resident.
It says
I'm
residents.
reading it wrong. It's all my fault.
But you know what? You're not the only one
But it
that was
says
confused.
Niagara Falls residents hit with gun. Oh, okay.
It's the house.
It's
so there
the
was
spelling of the word. Oh, I'm such an idiot.
So there was a drive-by. There was a drive-by in Niagara Falls, and they shot the place up.
So there wasn't a resident hit.
No, and here I'll see if I can get the update on that because
man.
I think they arrested somebody in this.
All right, I
they?
admit it. I'm a stupid. I didn't read it right.
Lee, if you made that mistake, lots of people
I think
did.
thousands of people must have. But I'll take the blame because I put it out there.
Let me see. There was an update to this, and then here we go. Hey, again, residents hit with gunshots. Let's see who'd they arrest on this one.
I read it right the first time. Why didn't I read it right the second time?
Here we go. I'll let you try this name.
Oh, thanks a lot. Innocenzo Abatiello.
Yeah, Alessandro.
Oh, I missed Alessandro Innocenzo Abatiello. 21 years old.
That's pretty good, Lee.
Hey, I've been around.
That's pretty
I
good.
grew up in Niagara. Come on.
All right, so Niagara Canada Games, whatever it is now, I think they're set for 2022. Was supposed to be 2021, then COVID, so planning for 2022. And the big thing that people see getting built is right up at Brock University. They're building a two-pad facility, but it's also going to have the outdoor track and kind of host the track and field events. And I think maybe opening and closing ceremonies, opening ceremonies I believe are still set for the Meridian Center. Okay. And closing ceremonies are going to be more of a broad Niagara thing, including Table Rock and all that. But the track, anyway, what I'm getting to is they released a video this week that brought us inside that structure. And take a look for yourself, see what you think.
Yeah. And what's the time frame for this again?
I mean, 2020, it was supposed to be built by now, right?
Right.
The games were supposed to be happening in the next couple of months.
Hello, my name's Doug Hamilton. I'm chair of the Niagara 2022.
So there's Doug Hamilton, everybody knows him.
We're here today to take you on a tour of one of our key legacy facilities, the largest legacy facility that we're building for the games. It's called Canada Games Park.
All right, I'll take the weather off your face, Lee.
That's okay. People are more concerned about the weather. These drone shots are always so cool when they're able to do those. There you go, Niagara 2022, so next year.
I want to introduce you today to two of the key members of our team who have
And I'll be honest, I'll just kind of skip through this. They do a lot of time talking, as you see here, and I think really most people are just kind of interested in...
The building looks nice.
And running track.
Yeah, so he's talking about the indoor track.
The gym will be used for volleyball as well as for wrestling.
They got a couple gymnasiums in there.
That it's not interfering with the activities of any.
So there you go. They talk about the whole facility and what have you, but I think the photos and the video to me is what's of interest. Just kind
Absolutely.
of seeking in, and here you go.
Track, so it provides sort of double duty as a kind of spectation space, if you will. Similar to rink number one, the natural light has been designed so that it's controlled so that it doesn't get in the way of the athletes.
As it's a big open space in the arena, our focus was really access, getting the steel up prior to the winter.
Anyway, there you go, Lee.
Yeah, cool. Looking forward to that. At least we're keeping some people employed, and hopefully, fingers and eyes and everything crossed, that we'll be able to see those games unfold on schedule in 2022 when they're supposed to. And one of the other things that occurred on Niagara 411 this week was a picture was posted of an intersection where there was an accident. There were a couple of fire trucks there, etc. In and of itself, not really, except for the people involved, of course, nothing really hugely of note, just a story of a problem at an intersection in Niagara. Well, and there it is right there, East Main Street at Crowland Avenue in Welland. Motor vehicle accident, fairly serious. I mean, you see the emergency vehicles, the fire trucks, etc. on site. Where I was going with this is the fact that as the comments were unfolding, I found it very interesting how social media evolves from one thing to another. There was a post a comment put up in the fact that they were complaining about the fact that the picture was up there because of security or privacy issues, et cetera, et cetera. And then other people started saying, well, you couldn't see anybody's face, or this was, and it sort of turned into this online, which as things often do, this online back and forth about whether or not Nick should have put the picture up, and et cetera, et cetera. And frankly, I see nothing in the picture myself that could have any impact on personal security issues. You can't see anybody or anything. But where I'm going with this has nothing to do with the accident. It has to do with how conversations shift on platforms like Facebook. Going through all of the comments, as you know, there will be people that make tongue-in-cheek statements or try to make humorous jokes, whatever. One of the fellows said, I can't see anything except for the fact that gas prices are $1.15, because you'll see there's a 7-Eleven gas bar there on the corner, and almost instantly the dialogue shifted from the original picture and the original conversation to an entire back and forth on gas prices, just like that. I just found it so interesting how the dynamics of the conversations can change so fast at the drop of a hat on social media platforms. It was just unbelievably clarifying for me how careful, how strategic you have to be when you're thinking about what you're going to post on a Facebook or an Instagram or one of those, is the fact that one word, one comment can take life in a whole different direction. Interesting conversation. All right, we've been talking about this coming up. There's an iconic, there's that word again that we overuse, a very well-known, let's put it that way, shot of the police officer, ex-police officer, Derek Chauvin, that was found guilty on all the counts in which he was charged with regard to the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Joining us on that topic and others today is Sherry Darlene. She is with Justice for Black Lives. Hi, Sherry. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for taking time to join us. I know you're on another mission. You're in North Carolina today.
I am. It is, my great-grandmother was the oldest living American here, and at 116 years old, she finally got her wings last Saturday.
So my condolences, but what an incredible life.
Yes, we are here to celebrate her life. Nobody's really sad, because she was 116 years old and she wanted her wings more than she wanted anything. So we are just really going to send her a homegoing celebration. That's going to be amazing.
Well, before we move on to other things, you brought this up, so I have to ask you more about, what was your grandmother's name?
Her name was Hester Ford.
Okay, and what is her background? I mean, 116 years, that takes us back into all sorts of situations.
Her wisdom is something that I'm so happy that I was able to have. My mother coins, my passion comes from her, from our conversations about that. She lived through the Jim Crow. She remembers being on the plantation. Although she was not enslaved, she did explain to me that back in that day, they were free slaves, but they did not have the option to just work wherever they wanted. They were only allowed to work on plantations. So wow. She definitely, like, again, where are you going to get that kind of wisdom?
Unbelievable. And she had the honor of being the oldest living American.
Yes, to date. Yeah, until Saturday.
Well, yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, those titles do expire, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Was she always a resident of North Carolina?
Yes, she was always a resident of North Carolina. She lived at home up until the day that she took her last breath. She lived on her own up until about 101, and then one of her children, her daughter, moved in with her to help her the day-to-day. She was a feisty little thing, always in her little sundresses and sneakers. You know, my last visit with her, I spent the weekend with her, she was probably about 106. And it was my idea to come and cook breakfast for her. And she sat at the kitchen table and she was watching me make the grits. And she said to me, "Baby, what are you doing? That's not how you make the grits." She said, "You sit down and I'll make the breakfast." So at 106, she cooked me breakfast, bacon, eggs, grits, and then sent me home on the plane with fried chicken and cornbread and banana pudding. And yeah, just very, very feisty.
And so I take it from that story, Sherry, that she was pretty aware of what was going on around her right up until very advanced years.
Yes, she was very aware. She was very proud of me. A lot of it for her was disbelief to see such change.
Yeah,
although
I'll bet.
She, you know, to her, we should be way past this, but this was good enough for her as well. You know, she was just really amazed at sitting and watching what was happening into the world, especially these last 2 years. She's, you know, she's really religious, and, you know, finally the world has its eyes open, and we're really going to make some change.
Well, Godspeed to your grandmother. I know it is indeed a celebration, but to Mrs. Ford, I hope she flies happily with those wings that she has.
Well, those are wings of platinum. She's having a good time up there.
That is truly amazing, and I can understand why she has the pride in you that she does. Tell us a little bit about now yourself. Let's swing the camera back in your direction and tell us about Sherry Darlene and what you're up to.
Well, as of June 6th of last year, it kind of put Niagara's Black community on the map. There was clearly a need for justice for Black lives because we did not go away after June 6th. I thought I was just going to go back to being one of Niagara's Black residents, and my phone just continued to ring with reports of what was happening in our Niagara region. I, as a Black person growing up in Niagara Falls, was very aware of, you know, the ignorance that I encountered. So the fact that people are really ready to step out of the shadows and say, "Hey, Niagara, your hands aren't clean on this at all, nowhere near." And Justice for Black Lives has definitely set the table for these people to bring those issues to the platform. And we are being invited to the tables where we can have conversations with our city officials and our school boards to implement these important changes that need to happen so that we can move forward and move the needle for change.
We've been talking about priorities quite a bit on this program today. So I want to keep that theme going and talk about priorities with you with regard to justice for Black lives and your Niagara focus. What if you were going to prioritize a platform or things that you feel need to be attended to sooner than later here in Niagara? What would are they? What would they be, or what are they?
Really what they are is tackling, we have to go after our Niagara South Board of Education. It's really important that we get our youth. We start to, if you can incorporate a second language at grade 1, we can definitely upgrade the curriculum at age appropriate, of course, but we can implement race relations, human relations in the curriculum of our school, because what we do know about most racist people is it's home taught. And then when you go to school, you've got nothing to compare that to, and that's how it's been over the years, and that's how it's been able to stay alive. But if we start to implement these conversations, these age-appropriate books at that group level, at that age level, we start having these honest conversations, and we tell the truth and stop romanticizing the white man's history and the brutality against Black people and Black pain, Indigenous, LGBTQ, all of that. We start exposing the youth to that. No matter what they're being told at home, they now have something to compare it to. So eventually you get to an age where you either decide what you've been taught at home is, carved in stone, or you look in and you dig a little deeper. Now, we're not going to get everyone, we're not going to get every kid, but it's definitely a start to where we've been and where we've been stuck, where they've got nothing to compare it to.
Sherry, I was struck a little bit earlier when you were speaking about something that is becoming more and more aware because of you and your group and groups like yours, is Canadians, people like me, have been pretty much, I guess, conditioned to believe that we don't have any problems here. We're fine. We're good. We don't have those things going on that like happens down there. Yeah. But you're here to tell us that we're not that good. We do have those problems. We do have things that Canadians feel pretty smug about themselves, I find, when it comes to racial issues. And we really don't have a right to be all that smug, do we?
No, you're not, especially not in the Niagara region. Racism in the Niagara region is their dirty little secret. It is so profound here. And I think
really?
Yes, it is very profound here. It is very regular. It is very out there. And it is because Niagara's community, Black community, is so small. It's growing now. I'd say in the last 5 years, it's grown quite a bit. But my growing up, being here, my mother growing up here, how is it that my experience in school with racism is almost identical to my mother's experience, and we're 20, 30 years apart. So that lets you know that Niagara is really just stuck here, and they're not willing to pay attention, and they're in denial.
I'm not trying. I don't want to open old wounds here, but I would like to probe a little deeper, if you don't mind.
Sure.
There will be people watching this interview that when they hear you say that this is a rampant issue here in Niagara, it's very easy to make a sweeping statement like that.
Yes.
Can you give us some examples? Like, what do you mean by that?
I mean, as a Black woman in Niagara Falls, living here, growing here, I mean, when I went to school, when I went to work, when my son went to school, when I went to work, what I have to do is mentally prepare myself for what I'm going to encounter in my community. Sometimes it's microaggressions. When I say microaggressions, sometimes somebody will say to me, "Wow, you're really pretty for a Black girl," or
Ooh.
"What country?" Yeah, and they think that that's okay. Sometimes it's full blown being called a nigger by somebody I don't know who's obviously angry about something. Sometimes it's going to work and wearing my hair in my natural state, and when I walk in the room, being the only Black employee, my supervisor says, "Holy fuck, what'd you do? Stick your finger in a light socket?" And there's that spotlight on, there's Black Sherry with her big unruly black hair, and it's my hair that grows out of my head naturally in its natural state. So it's little things like that. Like I've said, with Niagara and Canada itself, being an American, I don't fear for my physical like I fear for my physical in the United States. If I got pulled over in the middle of the night here in the United States, I would be worried about my physical being. In Canada, they have updated it. It's almost like polite racism. It's very hard to prove. Yeah, it's very hard to prove. It's almost polite, but it's done, and it chips away at the core of who you are. It's death by paper cuts. I heard a black woman on Canadian television say it's
death by 1,000 cuts or whatever it is.
Yeah, by paper cuts. Because one thing we all know about paper cuts is sometimes we don't see them. Blood doesn't never always come to the surface. But what is it about paper cuts that we hate? We feel them. We feel them all day. They sting. They linger. That's what it's like here in Niagara Falls, and it's regular. It happens all the time, and it has not stopped. And then Niagara needs to open their eyes and come and sit at the table and work on this with us.
All right, and how do they do that? What is your plan of action as we get ready to wrap up our conversation with you? I think this is setting the stage for further conversations for sure, because I want to track your progress in dealing with our folks. And you said there have been people coming to sit at the table, and you made the priority the school boards of Niagara.
Yeah.
Is there a plan to continue that discussion?
There's absolutely a plan to continue that. Justice for Black Lives is now part of Niagara's first anti-racism committee.
Okay.
We've also got a diversity and inclusion committee started for the first time in the Niagara region. Justice for Black Lives and myself, we really pride ourselves on providing a safe space to have these difficult conversations. But what most white people need to understand is these conversations about race, they're not difficult for us. They've never been difficult for us. We've been trying to have these conversations with you for centuries. Now we've set up a platform where we do book clubs with the Niagara Falls History Museum, and we have these hard conversations. And my means is to educate white people. My means is to set you up so that you can go into the workplace, and when you're standing in the room and something like what happened to me in front of my boss, when my boss said, did you stick your finger in it? You don't stand there in white solidarity and not say anything. Teaching them how to have the courage to say something, know when to say something, know that you're going to have to learn to meet some people where they're at and walk away. You're not going to get everybody, but we definitely need you as allies. And if Justice for Black Lives provides you with that information, equips you with sort of like we army up. We put your armor on and we send you out there to be one of us. It's hard stuff. And sometimes I've got white people come back to me and say, you know what, Sherry, I need a break. I can't do this. I had no idea it was this bad.
Well, you continue to open eyes and ears and hearts, hopefully. And we hope you enjoy your family and the farewell of your grandmother in North Carolina. We intend to talk to you more when you get back here. And I'm assuming all we have to do is search for Justice for Black Lives and we'll find you.
JusticeForBlackLives.com.
All right. Sherry Darlene, thank you very much. Safe and healthy trip back home, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Amazing young woman with an amazing history. Wow. How about that lady, 116 years old, the things that she must have seen. I mean, I think about that. My mother passed at 101. And which was pretty spectacular. But in the southern part of the United States, a black woman at 116, wow, what a cultural shift and maybe not shift that she has seen over the
I think I saw something listed here in regards to her life. Like 21 presidents, although no, it would be more than that.
I would think so.
Yeah, maybe it's like 40 presidents or something.
Crazy.
Here we go. Yeah, here. I'll bring it up right here. But
right.
Hester Ford.
Hester Ford.
I don't know if you can read this, Lee, but yeah.
Yeah. This was up 3 days ago. She was believed to be either 115 or 16. Her granddaughter said 116. She experienced 2 pandemics, 2 world wars, lived under 21 presidents. Hester Ford in 2000, this was in 2016, it says there, Cal?
Yeah.
Celebrating her 111th birthday. She was a reminder of how far we have come as people on this earth, her great-granddaughter said, and that was, of course, Sherry Darlene. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, very cool. Now, Lee, I know we're wrapping up the show.
We are.
But I want to remind people of this because we go live, Lee, in 1 minute.
Yes, with our swag shop, our swag store. There it is. Swag, Niagara 411 swag shop. Each one of those t-shirts and the hat as well, $25 a piece. $2 from the Niagara 411 shirt goes to Wellspring Niagara. $2 from the Niagara 411 Live, our show. $2 goes to the Momentum Choir. And of course, hopefully the golf courses will be open and you can grab, and the baseball diamonds, and you grab a hat to go along with them. So,
and there it is right there. There's the store. So get there, give you all the information.
And you have a week. It's not going to be an open-ended thing. You have from 1:30 today until May the 6th to place your order, and then we'll get them running out to you. All right? So do not delay. Do it sometime this week. Kevin, as per usual, thank you. Gales Gas Bars, thank you for fueling this program. Also, Performance Heating and Air, thanks for sponsoring us, our brand new sponsor. Welcome Enwick to the program, Niagara's high-speed internet provider, as well, of course, as Verge Insurance Group. My name is Lee Sterry, and Kevin, who do we have playing us off the stage today?
Paul Federici and his song Strange Disease. Again, if you're a local Niagara artist or you're in a group or you know somebody, if you have a video, okay, send us the link, because we always wrap up the program showing you today the wet streetscape of St. Paul and playing a music video of a local artist. So this is from a couple years ago, I think. Paul Federici, Strange Disease.
All right, here he is, and we'll catch you for episode 18 a week from today. Same spot here at Fiddler's Poorhouse. Catch you then.
Disease in the corners of my mind, and it longs for yesterdays that seem so hard to find. See, I cannot stop these thoughts from racing through my brain, 'cause I've tried cures, but they're all just damned in vain. So can you help me now? You've got it all worked out. Disease that expects good deeds to count. Well, I must be crazy for sure. That's the last thing